May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be aligned and acceptable with you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. I just read to you the first 10 verses from the Woman at the Well text from the Gospel of John, chapter 4. And this is a special text for us because March is Women's History Month, and although she remains unnamed, the Samaritan woman has the longest dialogue with Jesus of anyone recorded in the whole Bible. In a time when we are seeking spiritual nourishment in new ways, when we are not together in our beloved sanctuary, I wonder if God is inviting us into new ways of finding that living water that Jesus speaks of with this Samaritan woman. And I wonder if you have found any living water this week, any new sources of spiritual nourishment. Because this week has been a wild ride for many of us. Our whole nation and maybe our whole world likely is full of emotion, where we are waking up with news different than we went to sleep with. We are questioning the future of our country and our communities and of our world. My brother and his fiance are even wondering if they're able to hold their May wedding. And so many other scenarios like this. So quickly have we been thrust into spaces that are new and uncomfortable. And we have not had a chance to say, I'd rather not. And in my case, I haven't been able to say, I'd rather not learn new technologies this week. This moment hasn't given us an option. We have had to say yes to the growth and the learning, no matter how uncomfortable it has been. I've heard wisdom that there can be a clarifying quality to chaos, where what really matters comes into focus. I've really seen people rise to the occasion this week in our community in ways that have been inspiring. People have been at church. Well, actually, you haven't been at church. You're not allowed to go to church. It's shut down sort of officially starting this week. But we have been making adaptations, like putting signs up at the doors, giving a blessing and saying you can find us online, and distributing hand sanitizer, offering to buy each other groceries, offering to call each other and stay connected. And I am so grateful for you all and for your patience this week, for your creativity and your adaptability. Thank you. I'm also so inspired by local people in our community seeking to create safe space for children who might not have the ability to go home to a safe home, or seeking to create a meal share for kids who rely on school lunches. Or St. Vincent de Paul, I have been so impressed with them this week, making adaptations for the people who frequently eat there who might not have the privilege of social distancing. I'm seeing people take seriously that they have to do things, that we have to do things that might not agree with us, that might inconvenience us, but we're doing it anyway for the greater good. For the well-being of the whole. For the well-being of the whole. What if this moment were one where we really dug deep and found the well springs of living water in unexpected places? I believe this decade is already calling for our very best as human beings, and I believe we have it to offer. I've seen that this week. This decade, in a lot of ways, 2020 to 2030, will determine how we inhabit this planet in our future. This decade is starting out with an unpredictable bang with this COVID-19 pandemic, which is both highlighting the inequity already in our society, and it's also acting as an equalizing force. We're all connected to what is happening. Our interconnectedness is highlighted in this moment more than I can ever remember. And while our interconnectedness and our interdependence, Kent Salati, that's a shout out for you, our conference minister, or one of our conference ministers now, our interdependence and our interconnectedness have become strikingly clear. We are also invited, as we're contemplating how connected we are, we're also invited to stay away from each other. Literally 6 feet away if we can help it. And better to not physically see each other at all. It's this strange conundrum of feeling close and connected and also separate at the same time, and holding that together. I was struck by this poem by the Reverend Lynn Ungar. Her poem is called Pandemic, and she wrote it for this week. She writes, "Know that we are all connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live." And she closes there. Our spiritual connectedness, not our physical connectedness, but our spiritual connectedness, is something we are invited to lean into at this moment. That I exist, and that you exist, and although we are not physically with each other, we are on this planet at the same time. We are alive here together, and we are connected. What a miracle. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind to one another. Find moments of calm. Create moments of calm if you can. And call on Jesus when you need healing. Imagine him coming to you like he did the Samaritan woman at the well, and beginning a conversation with you that points to the living water that never runs dry, where you will never need to refill, where you are always connected to the life source of God within, where you always listen for the heartbeat of God within all experiences and all things. I pray for your spiritual nourishment this week, that just as the Samaritan woman had been coming to Jacob's well like her ancestors did, Jesus showed her a new way to become spiritually nourished. And I pray that we too have renewed spiritual nourishment during this time. And if you want to share about it, again, I would love to hear. May it be so. Amen.